Hello Car-Revz-Daily fans, Detroit Bureau Chief Carl Malik here, and this is the second video in our 2-video marathon covering the 2 testers that we have with us. Yesterday's video featured the 2021 Toyota Supra 2.0, and today's video focuses on our other tester, the 2020 Mercedes AMG GT63S. The S is the range topper in the GT63 lineup, and for the moment, the GT63S is also the most powerful Mercedes that you can get. Technically, the Project 1 hypercar is more powerful, and that model uses a Formula 1 derived engine. But that model technically does not exist yet in production form, and you still cannot buy it. So for the moment, the GT63S is the most powerful Benz that you can get for the money. And this thing is a beast. Powering our tester is the familiar 4-liter bi-turbo V8. But unlike other AMGs, which merely, and we use that term very loosely, merely have over 550 horsepower, this particular model has its V8 tuned up all the way to 630 horsepower. That's not a joke. 630 horsepower. It's very clear that AMG engineers went all out when it came to developing multiple aspects of the GT63, and the engine is no different. Let us sum up what 630 horsepower is like. 630 horsepower is like doing delicate open heart surgery with a chainsaw. 630 horsepower is like taking one of the booster rockets from the space shuttle, putting a saddle on it, and calling it a day. This is a very, very impressive engine. It makes a really good sound too. Take a listen. Now the GT63 comes with a multitude of drive modes. Currently we're driving in Sport Plus, but there is a race mode that is built in to S models, and that allows the engine to enter a different tune that is more focused for track work. Sport Plus is great for winding through windy, twisty roads like this. But the fire-breathing dragon that lurks underneath the hood is only one part of the story here. GT63 is the 4-door version of the AMG GT 2-door, and as a result, you do get roughly the same suspension tuning that you will get in that model. Of course, S stiffens the suspension even more, but we'll get into that in a minute. But the broader suspension tuning here means that there is an obscene lack of body roll, an absolute lack of it. We've thrown our tester through some of the winding roads that we like to come out here to when we have cars like this, and this is perhaps the most neutral, balanced car that we have ever taken out here. The body roll is nil, gone. And as a result, this thing corners like a slot car, a 4-door slot car. Of course, there is one downside to the suspension. It is stiff. In order to achieve the impressive G's and the impressive amount of cornering that this car can deliver, AMG engineers did have to give it a pretty stiff default tune. And that is really evident when you take this thing out on town. You take this thing through divoted roads and you will feel it. The suspension is about as stiff as one of Roman Reigns' WWE promos. And that says something. You watch an episode of Monday Night Raw and you'll get a good sense of what we're talking about. This suspension is stiff. That said, you move past that and you look around at some of the interior details that Mercedes and AMG designers have given this particular model, and it's a 5-star effort here. You get impressive amounts of carbon fiber trim. The seats that we're in are S-exclusive lightweight buckets that have suede inserts, as well as healthy doses of leather for extra comfort. They're also lightweight, which in turn helps shed weight from the car. Other details that we like are the flat bottom steering wheel. It really greets the hands very nicely, and it is a pure suede, Alcantara suede design unit. You get a prominent red center line that helps serve as a guide when you're out driving, and it does a really good job of delivering an impressive amount of road feel to the driver's hands. Of course, with all of this performance, all of this handling, and all the detail that exists here in the GT63S, we might as well cover pricing. Pricing for this particular example starts at just under $200,000. Take this corner here real quick. Just under $200,000, with our tester here bringing in at about $199,000. That pricing puts it in some pretty opulent company, with a most immediate rival being the Porsche Panamera, especially in GTS and up. And that's an impressive benchmark, considering that Porsche is normally what many other automakers look to when it comes to tuning their four-door performance sedans. And we think AMG has really nailed it here in terms of fine-tuning this thing for track and even spirited driving like we're doing now. Of course, you get other flavors of GT63. If you don't want the S, there is the default AMG, as well as other trims that'll help cultivate your unique form of driving. Our tester features Jupiter Red paint. Jupiter Red is an optional color, but we highly recommend it. Jupiter Red really brings out some of the car's lines, especially on the exterior, you know, with the black contrast trim. And it's also an attention grabber, for better or for worse. We've had people compliment this car, and we've even had a few people try and street race this thing. You know, it's just a unique persona and a unique presence that defines this car. And Mercedes, don't worry, we did not take up anyone's challenge in a street race. We are not that hoonigan in our lifestyle. What we will say is that the compliments that this car gets are something else. People will literally walk up to this car to take pictures of it. People will literally pull over alongside you to ask you questions about the car, to take pictures of the car. It's a real attention grabber. And that's what the GT63S is about, pretty much in a nutshell. It's about drawing eyes to Mercedes. And that's key, considering that right now, Mercedes is doing everything it can to try and draw attention to some of its other models. AMG is expanding availability here, and that includes offering more models with smaller power plants. We're seeing V6 powered AMG models. Of course, you get down to the GLA and its equivalents, and you even get 2-liter turbocharged 4 cylinders. It's far beyond what we've seen 5 to 10 years ago, when AMG was once known for making V8s or even V12s roughly exclusively. And as you hear the noise again, nothing can beat the presence and the audio symphony generated by this V8. It's truly amazing. Each of these V8s is hand built, and you can tell that a great amount of care and effort went into making these things. And the V8 itself is an alluring instrument. It's a great dance partner. There is a little bit of turbo lag that exists when you put your foot down, but go beyond it and power goes on like a flood. And some people might ask, do you really need 630 horsepower? And the answer to that is no most of the time. I mean, we've looked at how much power we use during our commute, and even when thrashing this thing around some of our favorite roads, and we don't even scratch the very tippy top of the surface. But it's like a security blanket. If you need that extra power, it's right there at your fingertips. If you need to blast down a good straightaway at the track, you have the ability to do so. And that's what this car is about. It's a pure track focused machine. A machine that is blunt, but also handles its business with a unique form of demeanor and distinction that few other cars can match. Whereas the Toyota Supra can be best thought of as a delicate, razor-sharp Genzu knife that can cut through things with butter smooth precision, the GT63S is like a sledgehammer that blasts its way through whatever task you throw at it, and a sledgehammer that's also wrapped in just enough velvet layering to be a relatively comfortable commuter. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this particular video featuring the AMG GT63S. We will have photos of this particular tester as well as our Supra tester up on our social media pages very soon. And if you have any questions for us, please feel free to drop a line at our social media channels. We do keep an eye on them very regularly, and we will do our very best to answer your questions, suggestions, as well as any other items that you would like to talk with us about. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, as well as coming along for this very spirited ride, and we hope you have a great day.